we've turned our eyes to the sky. But perhaps we've been looking in the wrong place all along. While we aimed our telescopes at the farthest galaxies and sent our radio signals into the infinite void of space, we ignored the possibility that the intelligent life we were searching for might have been right beside us the entire time. The other civilization we seek may be hiding in the pitch-black darkness of our own oceans. These vast bodies of water, which cover 70% of our planet and of which more than 95% remain unexplored by humanity, conceal not just strange creatures, but far greater secrets. In recent years, events confirmed by the Pentagon itself, events that have baffled even the most experienced Navy pilots, point to a new and disturbing reality. The real mystery isn't up there, it's down here. This is the story of Unidentified Submerged Objects, or USOs. So, fasten your seatbelts, because we are diving into today's mystery. Unidentified Submerged Objects, or USOs, are much more than simple underwater anomalies. What makes them truly mysterious is a capability known as transmedium travel, the ability to operate in both air and water in a way that defies the known laws of physics. We are talking about objects that can fly at thousands of miles per hour, then instantly plunge into the ocean and continue on their path at the same speed, without any sign of deceleration or even a splash. With today's technology, these maneuvers are not possible. We will touch on the details of these events, the maneuvers, and the shocking statements from experts in a moment. For years, stories like these were dismissed as the exaggerated tales of fishermen or conspiracy theorists. That is, until the US government began to officially release footage captured by its own military personnel. The year is 2013, off the coast of Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. A US Department of Homeland Security aircraft, on a routine patrol, records an unfathomable object with its thermal camera. The images are clear. A disc-shaped object is traveling at speeds up to 120 miles per hour, flying just above the surface of the water. Then, it suddenly enters the ocean. But for this disc-shaped object, it's as if the water has no density at all, because the effects one would expect upon impact, like a splash or displacement, simply do not happen. The object continues on at the same speed underwater and, at one point, gracefully splits into two separate parts. Both parts then continue on their own paths. This video, after being kept secret for years, was leaked to the press and eventually acknowledged by the Pentagon as real and unidentified. According to the known laws of physics, for any high-speed object, be it a plane, a missile, or anything else, hitting water is like hitting a wall of solid concrete. The object shatters. This object enters the ocean at 120 miles per hour with zero splash and zero deceleration. This is in complete opposition to the laws of physics and shows that the object does not interact with water in a normal way. So how does an object enter the sea without even touching the water? According to leading theorists and Pentagon officials like intelligence officer Luis Elizondo, these vehicles bend the space-time around them, creating their own plasma shield or warp bubble. Let's summarize what this means. The vehicle isn't actually in direct contact with the air or the water. It travels inside an energy bubble of its own creation. This could explain why they create no sonic booms in the air, no splash when entering the water, and how they can withstand incredible G-forces. The vehicle isn't moving through the medium, it's sliding the medium around itself. These are not just conspiracy theories. The evidence is happening right before our eyes. And while there are tens of thousands of similar events, we are only aware of what has been leaked to the press. As if this event alone wasn't jarring enough, perhaps the world's most famous UFO case, the 2004 USS Nimitz Tic Tac incident, also had a USO connection. You may have heard the story of elite FA-18 pilot Commander David Fravor, chasing the Tic Tac shaped object as it performed impossible maneuvers in the air. But there is a detail in Fravor's testimony that is often overlooked. Seconds before the pilots saw the Tic Tac, radar operators had reported a massive anomaly in the sea, moving just below the surface. Fravor describes that moment as something under the water, boiling the water. Were the aerial vehicles being launched from a massive, submerged mothership? Were the Tic Tacs just small probes from a much larger technology hiding in the depths of the ocean? Let's go back to 1967. In the town of Shag Harbor, Canada, dozens of witnesses saw a large, glowing, orange object descend from the sky and crash into the harbor. Police and the Coast Guard arriving on the scene saw a strange, yellow foam of unknown origin on the water's surface and the lights of a submerging object. A massive search and rescue operation was launched by the Royal Canadian Navy. Divers scoured the bottom of the harbor for days. The result? Nothing. Not a single piece of wreckage, not a single object. It was as if the massive object had simply dissolved at the bottom of the sea. The incident was officially filed as unsolved. These modern videos, confirmed by the Pentagon, are just the tip of the iceberg. In reality, navies from all over the world have been encountering these silent guests in the depths for decades. Let's look at some similar events. This one is one of the most chilling events in UFO history. In 1967, while UFOs were being observed over Malmstrom Nuclear Missile Base in Montana, more than 10 nuclear-tipped intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, at the base were simultaneously disabled. The little-known detail of the event is that Air Force personnel reported some of these UFOs diving into a nearby reservoir and emerging from the water. In 2019, off the coast of Catalina Island in California, multiple U.S. Navy warships were harassed for days by a swarm of numerous UAPs. In leaked and later confirmed radar and thermal footage, these objects are seen flying around the ships, then diving into the sea and disappearing from sight. During the Cold War, Soviet submarines frequently reported encounters with unidentified submerged objects that were much faster and more maneuverable than their own. They nicknamed these objects Kavakari because of the quack-quack sounds they emitted. One of the highest-ranking admirals of the Soviet Navy stated that these encounters were compiled into an intelligence report and that the technology of the objects was not man-made. Even our fastest submarines and torpedoes are limited by an effect called cavitation when moving at high speeds in water. The small air bubbles that form around the propellers are both very noisy, making them easy to detect and damaging to the vehicle. It is reported that USOs like the Kavakari, reported by Russian submarines, are completely silent, despite reaching incredible underwater speeds. This again supports the plasma shield theory. If the vehicle's hull never touches the water, cavitation bubbles cannot form. This makes them, for all intents and purposes, ghosts to our sonar devices. And if you think this phenomenon was only detected with modern technology, you are mistaken. One of history's most famous explorers may have encountered a USO as well. In 1492, just a few days before discovering America, Christopher Columbus recorded a strange event in his ship's log. At midnight, he and his crew saw mysterious lights rising from within the sea, like the flame of a small wax candle, which then ascended and performed strange maneuvers in the sky before diving back into the ocean. This could be a USO testimony from more than 500 years ago. Ancient Roman historians like Julius Obsequens recorded that in 218 BC, ship-like gleaming objects were seen in the sky, and in 99 BC, round shield-like objects, clipe ardentes, were recorded gliding through the sky and diving into the sea. This information comes from the 4th century Roman writer Julius Obsequens' work, Liber de Prodigiis, the Book of Prodigies. Of course, the Romans didn't call these objects UFOs or spaceships. They described the situation by comparing them to objects they knew, like ships or shields. The interpretation that these were extraterrestrial beings is a modern theory. The Roman description of a gleaming shield sounds remarkably like an ancient description of a metallic disk surrounded by a plasma or energy field. This makes one think that perhaps the same technology has been observed for millennia. So, in light of all this evidence and testimony, what is really happening in the depths of our oceans? The theories range from the scientific to the most speculative. The first theory is that this is a secret terrestrial technology. Could a superpower like the US, Russia, or China possess hybrid submarine aircraft technology that they have kept hidden for decades? We know that military research agencies like DARPA work on such projects. But is it possible to hide a technology that has existed since the time of Columbus? And if this technology belongs to one country, why would they use it to show off their power to their own Navy pilots? The second and most popular theory is that of extraterrestrial underwater bases. According to this theory, when extraterrestrial beings came to our planet, they established their bases not in the emptiness of space, but in the unexplored depths of our oceans. This could be incredibly logical. Why? The first reason is stealth. 95% of the oceans remain a total mystery. There is no better place to remain hidden from the eyes of humanity. The second is protection. Water is a perfect natural shield against cosmic radiation and even nuclear attacks. The third is resources. Perhaps what they seek is water itself, or the planet's crust, which is rich in metals and minerals. The bottom of the ocean could be both a sanctuary and an operational base for them. The final and most speculative theory is that these beings did not come from space, but from somewhere else. What if they are the descendants of an ancient human civilization, like Atlantis, who continued to live at the bottom of the ocean after a catastrophe on the surface? Or, to go even further, what if these objects are not traveling in the sense we understand? What if they are just leaking into our reality from another dimension, and the oceans are where the veil between the two dimensions is thinnest? The question is no longer, do UFOs or USOs exist? With the Pentagon's own statements, that question has been answered. The real question is, what are they? And what do they want from us? It appears that we, as humanity, are not even in full possession of our own planet. In the crushing pressure and pitch-black darkness of the oceans, there may be other neighbors living with us, whose technology is far beyond our wildest dreams. Perhaps the biggest secret is not hidden among the stars, but in the heart of our own planet, in those deep and silent waters. Indeed, the greatest irony of history may be that man built giant telescopes to observe the stars, but never thought to shine a flashlight into the heart of his own planet. So let us conclude by remembering the words of the science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke. How inappropriate to call this planet Earth when it is clearly ocean. If what you've heard has prompted you to think about these secrets at the bottom of our oceans, please don't hesitate to share your own theories in the comments below, because we are very curious. Your comments and constructive criticism will be our greatest strength. We would also be very grateful if you would subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next story.